What if just 313 believers stood against an army of 1,000 soldiers and still won? The Battle of Badr was the first major battle in Islamic history. It took place in 624 CE between the Muslims of Medina, led by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the powerful Quraysh army of Mecca. Despite having only about 313 companions, the Muslims defeated a much larger force of around 1,000 soldiers. This extraordinary victory became a turning point for the early Muslim community and remains a powerful example of faith, unity, patience, and complete trust in Allah. Scene 1. Desert visuals, dramatic nasheed, sunrise over dunes. What if a small group of just 313 believers stood against a powerful army of 1,000 soldiers and still won? What if that victory changed the course of history forever? This is the story of the Battle of Badr, one of the most important moments in Islamic history. It was not just a battle of weapons. It was a battle of faith, patience, and trust in Allah. And what happened that day would change the future of Islam forever. Scene 2. The background. The story begins after the migration of Muslims from Mecca to Medina. For many years, the early Muslims in Mecca faced severe persecution. They were mocked, tortured, and forced to leave their homes simply because they believed in one God. When they finally migrated to Medina, they hoped to live in peace. But the leaders of Quraysh in Mecca were still determined to destroy the growing Muslim community. Tension between the two sides continued to rise. Scene 3. The Caravan and the Quraysh Army. In the year 624 CE, news reached Medina that a wealthy Quraysh trade caravan was returning from Syria. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, set out with about 313 companions to intercept the caravan. But the situation quickly changed. The caravan leader learned about the Muslims' plan and sent an urgent message to Mecca asking for help. Soon, a powerful army of nearly 1,000 soldiers marched from Mecca toward Badr. The Muslims had not prepared for a large battle, yet they now faced a much stronger force. Scene 4. The night before the battle. The night before the battle was filled with tension. The Muslims were greatly outnumbered and poorly equipped. Some had only simple swords. Others had no armor at all. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, spent the night praying to Allah. He raised his hands and asked for help, knowing that the survival of the Muslim community depended on this moment. The believers placed their complete trust in Allah. Scene 5. The battle begins. The battle took place near the wells of Badr. Despite the overwhelming odds, the Muslims stood firm. They fought with courage, discipline, and faith. The Quran mentions that Allah sent help to the believers during the battle. Angels were sent to support the Muslim army. What seemed impossible began to unfold before their eyes. Scene 6. The victory. Against all expectations, the smaller Muslim force achieved a decisive victory. Many powerful leaders of Quraysh were defeated. For the Muslims, this victory was not just military success. It was a powerful sign that faith and trust in Allah can overcome even the greatest challenges. Scene 7. Why the Battle of Badr was so important. The victory at Badr became a turning point in Islamic history. It strengthened the Muslim community in Medina and increased their confidence. Across Arabia, people began to see that the Muslims were no longer weak or powerless. The battle proved that faith, unity, and patience could change the course of history. Scene 8. Lessons from Badr. The story of Badr carries powerful lessons for every generation. It teaches us that true strength comes from faith. It reminds us that victory does not always depend on numbers or power. Sometimes, the greatest victories come when people place their trust completely in Allah. Closing scene. More than 1,400 years later, the story of Badr continues to inspire millions of people around the world. It reminds us that even the smallest group, when guided by faith and patience, can change history. If you found this Islamic history story beneficial, share it so others can learn about the powerful story of the Battle of Badr. Subscribe for more Islamic reminders and historical stories. May Allah strengthen our faith and guide us to the straight path. Ameen.